I knew what I wanted to do. There was one place and one place only I was applying for. There was one place and one place only I wanted to work, and that was in that airline, doing a job similar to the job that I was talking about in front of them.
Yeah.
That was it. I was prepared to move my life. I was prepared. If they had said jump and you moved to Germany, I would have been on the first plane to Germany, and that was the way. That's the dedication. I wanted this job, and I got it.
Craig Lancaster was once one of Ryanair's youngest regional managers, saving up for his first home, driving a fancy car, and the professional envy of all of his 20-something peers. But what Craig wasn't was happy. A brush with COVID made Craig realize that he needed a change, and thus Pilot Path, a modular aviation training institute, was born. Craig candidly takes us through his battle with imposter syndrome and how he has fought to help others reach their dreams of becoming commercial airline pilots without breaking the bank. How do you go from being a manager of something huge to, let me just be frank here, having the balls to step out of that boardroom where you must have been making a pretty penny by that stage?
I don't know if having the balls was the right way to put it, because I was terrified the day that I left. I resigned. I was terrified.
Craig, welcome to studio with us today. We're so excited to have you.
Delighted to be here. Thank you very much.
Particularly me, I am over the moon to have you here, because you do something that I think just speaks to the child in all of us.
Yep.
You founded a company that teaches people how to be pilots.
Yes, that's it.
That
exactly.
is so
exactly.
cool.
Well, it's all like, I always wanted to be a pilot. Like, it was my dream since I'd say I was about 8 or 9 years old. It must have been like I'd spend time out the back garden where I live and stuff like that. We were under a flight path. You could see aircrafts like flying over us left, right, and centre. Like going on holiday. People always were afraid of flying and they hated it and stuff like that. I actually enjoyed the travelling side of it as much as I would enjoy being on holiday, to be totally honest with you. The noises, the movements, the understanding even the physics behind it, it was just absolutely fascinating to me. Like, so fascinating. The guys that I work with, they actually slagged me. I was 747 tattooed on my wrist there, right?
Look at that.
I had the statement, by the way, but yes, I do, right? And this is where I referred to myself one day. We were doing a competition last year, and I actually referred to myself as the boy with the Boeing tattoo. I've never seen a room cringe as much as they did in my life. That's why I have long sleeves on today.
Forget the girl with the dragon tattoo. Make way for Craig.
This is it. I think I'll get that reprinted though. It doesn't
the
look
boy
the best.
with the Boeing tattoo. Where did you get that done?
I got it done when I was on holiday in Turkey.
Okay.
Probably a couple too many drinks later, and then the next day I woke up and it was a 747, a crudely drawn.
Because it looks like a shadow of a Boeing.
It's a crudely drawn one. To be honest with you, who knows what picture I used when I gave it to him. It looks like a clip art, and clip arts are gone out of fashion now, so not the best anyway. So lift that.
How many pants lead to that tattoo?
Oh, too many, unfortunately. But look, I'll live with the sins of it for the rest of my life, and it's funny when you talk about it now. I can make a joke out of it at least.
But now, Craig, you said that your ideal was to be a pilot.
Yes.
A commercial airline pilot.
Exactly what I wanted to do.
Okay, but that's not what you're doing.
No. So the world has a very weird way of working, Paige. So, believe it or not, I went to finish school when I was 16. So I sat with like our leaving cert, it's called here. I sat that when I was 16 and I took a year off. So what I initially wanted to do was become a Spanish and geography teacher.
Oh.
So this is what I thought I was going to be able to do.
Do you speak Spanish?
I'm not going to embarrass myself today. I've decided. I would claim, yes, most people that know me would claim, no, you can't. So
can't blame me for trying.
No,
hey?
you can't. I made a bit of an idiot out of myself when I tried to speak a bit of Spanish back in January, and the lads haven't let me forget it yet, so I'm holding off.
Not today, not on camera. We'll talk after this.
Not on camera. However, I can woo you with my Spanish afterwards. But essentially that's what I wanted to do when I left school. It's not what I wanted to do, but it was the option that was there for me. Yeah. Essentially, it was, you're that age, there wasn't an awful lot of career guidance for me. There wasn't an awful lot put into what we were going to do, I suppose, as a school and as a year and stuff like that after school, really. even for people that wanted to engage with them in comparison to what I can see now coming through the education system and stuff like that.
Career guidance.
It wasn't there for me anyway. So I took a year off. I said, okay, I'm 17. I'm gonna take a year off here, and within that year, I said I'm gonna defer the place that I was supposed to go to Maynooth to do an arts degree at the time, and I said I'm gonna defer that for a year. I'm gonna go back when I'm 18. I don't want to go yet. Like I feel too young, and I'm not sure. So I took a year off. Still, this whole time I wanted to be a pilot. I searched. When I say I searched online, I searched. Impossible to find. It was a minefield.
Why was it impossible?
The information out there for the different methods of like either part-time or full-time training is a minefield. Flight schools across Europe typically aren't very forthcoming with how much it costs. And if they are, you're bombarded with 100,000, 120,000 bill on day one.
Sure. What are we talking about for these? How expensive are we talking here?
If you want to train full time, you need to commit to 2 years without working. First of all, so there's a personal financial investment there. So you actually need to put your job aside if you have one.
Exactly.
If you have one, you absolutely
or someone must
work.
Support you for 2 years.
Exactly. Now, unfortunately, when we got to that point, when I was 16, 17. I didn't have anyone that could support me, and that continued on for a long time after that, where it was like, I can't take 2 years off work. I can't do this. Plus, I have a great relationship with the credit union in Ballyfermot, but I asked. Don't get me wrong. I went down and asked. Like, it's not as if I didn't, but the reality of the situation was I did get money originally, so this came a little bit further on. But I didn't have the money. It was impossible. When I came to the part-time side of things, it's still quite exclusive. You know, like it's a minefield. There's a million different metrics. It's literally like turning around and you're kind of saying to yourself, right, how do I get this? I'm going to map this out. What way is it going to work? And you're coming up blank every single time. So it kind of went down my head again. And I actually started working with Tesco at the time. So I had been working with Tesco while I was in school. And Tesco were a super employer to me. Within the 3 years I'd been working there, I'd gone from when I took that year off, I kind of engaged more with the company and engaged more with I suppose making more money and moving on. And somehow 3 years flew by, and all of a sudden I was a store manager in Tesco at this stage.
Did you think by this stage the dream was done?
Yes, it was dead. It was dead in the hole. In fact, when it comes to careers and when it comes to, I suppose, anything that I'm doing at that moment in time, I suppose I see it as a trait in a lot of entrepreneurs now and a lot of founders, is that I got sucked in. I learned everything about the system, about how it works, the people in it, from back to front, upside down, everything. It came to a point where it was one Christmas, it was in 2017. I was there. Christmas will become a trend throughout this podcast, by the way. Just
deck the halls, ladies and gentlemen. Deck the halls. We're getting merry.
That's the next tattoo. I'm going to get Christmas tree back. Or deck the halls.
Just make sure you haven't had too many pints. God alone knows the spelling mistakes that could be made in that sentence.
I agreed. Very much agreed. I'm not sure if I hate the spelling mistakes, but look, agreed. But anyway, yeah. So I was. It was one Christmas, and I was fed up. It was. It was 2017, and I said to myself, "Okay, Craig." I was 23 at the time. I said, 23. "Right, what am I gonna do here? Change my life around." I was like, "I'm 23 years old. I have this career that's moving along really, really nicely. I have opportunities there, but am I going to be happy? Absolutely not." So a lot of the things I do, and a lot of the reasons I do things, are fundamentally because I ask myself that question all the time. It's like, am I happy or am I going to be happy? You know, now I'm still striving for that the whole time, but that's where it came from. So I sat down, and it was like, I think the 29th of December, I was on my laptop, and I was like, right, how am I going to do this? And I had a piece of paper, and like what I always try and do, I mapped out. I said, okay, first I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do this. Now, a lot of the time where I struggle is that validation of all of these points I'd made. I was like, am I right here? You know, how can I do this? But I said one fundamental thing was that I'm going to change my career around. I'm going to change my life around, and I'm going to get on the track that I want to be on, and that's within aviation. I wanted to work for Ryanair at the time. I wanted to work in the biggest airline. I didn't want to be anything less than the biggest. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to see what I could contribute to it. And within 2 months of making that decision, I was walking into Ryanair on my first day, the 5th of March 2018, as what would have been a country regional style manager. Our title was European base manager. And we went in and we looked after a number of European bases for crew across what I had at the time was North Africa and a couple of different countries in Europe and stuff like that. So I'm sure you can imagine it was a big step away from, you know, on-site management and like, I suppose everything I like at this stage I was 23, like that's was
incredible,
life. It was life, like, and I loved it. I think what sold it was I had passion. I knew what I wanted to do. There was one place and one place only I was applying for. There was one place and one place only I wanted to work, and that was in that airline, doing a job similar to the job that I was talking about in front of them. Yeah. That was it. I was prepared to move my life. I was prepared. If they had said jump and you moved to Germany, I would have been on the first plane to Germany, and that was the way. That's the dedication. I wanted this job, and I got it. And then I started a month later on the 5th of March. And it was mad, absolutely mad. But I was in aviation. I was surrounded. There was planes on the wall. I was talking about aircraft. I was talking about cabin crew. I was hearing about pilots. It was just like
you were touching the world.
I was exactly, Paige. That's a great tagline. Do you wonder why I love that? Like, it's actually very, very good. It wasn't necessarily part of a pilot training journey. It wasn't part of a flight training plan of any sort. This was, I had actually kind of separated them at this point. I was like, this is what I want to do professionally in terms of I need to get out there into the aviation industry. And I had the mindset that I'm going to do what I done when I was 70 and take a year off. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to figure out what's right for me. And I hadn't done any pilot training at this stage. I hadn't done anything. And with Ryanair came connections, and with connections came somehow ending up doing a bit of pilot training and starting off on that journey. And I suppose that was the first kind of domino that fell that changed that part of life around, and how I ended up in the position where, look, I started flight training. Now, I started in a place in Wicklow in Newcastle. It's actually our home base for Pilot Path. And what I quickly realised is that this is expensive. Yeah. This is tough. This is, I was doing such a big job in Ryanair at the time that, like, I needed someone to hold my hand the whole way through this. Yeah. I needed someone to tell me what operational pitfalls.
Because, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that Ryanair team. What were you managing at that stage?
So at that stage, the first appointment I had was to manage 1,600 cabin crew across 16 different locations in Europe and North Africa.
Excuse me, but Jesus.
It was mad. Oh my God, it was mad. Now, don't get me wrong. The airline is huge. It's really expensive. But they demand the best. It has to be the best. And like, I lived by that while I worked there, and it's really altered me even as a person that, you know, I've always been a perfectionist, but Ryanair are perfectionists on steroids. This was intense, you know what I mean? And I went in, I'll never forget the first day. We also had a meeting room, it was at a table about this size. And there was, I was number 8, I was the 8th manager to come in within this team and the final manager within it. And I was sitting there and I was beside these people. We all sat at the same seat, weirdly enough, every single week.
Yeah, and as one does, habit.
It was, and I actually sat at the wrong seat the first day, and I was very quickly moved.
How dare you?
I was very quickly moved by a lady that I had worked with, but you know, it set the scene and it set the tone that this is structure and this is how it works.
But how do you go from being a manager of something huge to, let me just be frank here, having the balls to step out of that boardroom where you must have been making a pretty penny by that stage?
I don't know if having the balls was the right way to put it, because I was terrified the day that I left. I resigned. I was terrified. But it actually happened over Christmas again. So back to deck the halls.
Deck the halls.
Not
Here
very
we go.
merry, not very merry. Anyways.
Not very merry. Oh, hold on. You gave me the whole seat, but I only need the edge.
Yes, on the edge of this seat, because this is a good one. At this stage, I was a bit of a workaholic. I absolutely loved my job, but I think my job loved me a little bit too much, and I went into a position where it was my whole life. I loved it. Yeah. And, you know,
a lot of people get there.
They do. And it is a thing, and it's not like, I can't say I wasn't warned. I can't say that, you know, there was no signs and stuff like that, but that's where I was, but I didn't realise. And I got to a point around Christmas. I was off for 2 weeks. It had been a really hectic couple of months, and I'd made no plans. And I realised over this 2 weeks I got sick. I had COVID. Yeah. And the whole family had COVID. And I realised at this time, I was like, what is my life? I was like, where's my family gone? Where's my friends gone? Like, I've no partner, I've no plans, I've nothing to do here, and I'm off for 2 weeks. And I've gone from this 120 mile an hour lifestyle to 2 weeks of absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And at that point, this was a real defining moment. Like, I was calling them mental health walks. I was going on walks and I was trying to like just get my thoughts together, gather myself together. But it was just all over the place. And I said to myself, what is this? Like, how have I ended up here? What have I done? Like, this is not who I am anymore.
And you're doing that thing again where you're measuring, am I happy?
Yes. And this is where I went and I said to myself, am I happy? And I sat there, Paige, and no joke, I had this gorgeous BMW. I was walking around with AirPods, brand new clothes, lovely phone, all of these different lovely things that I had. And I was out there saving up for like a deposit for a house, and I was doing all of this stuff. I said to myself, what am I going to do, Craig? What are you going to do here? What is your fundamental change going to be? Because you're not happy. You know, you have there's a full circle of life here, not just 20 or 30% like professionally. Like, I've so much ambition, Paige. There's so much I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to conquer the world here, and I was forgetting myself at the same time. And like I said, Paige, I'm a big believer that I mentioned it there around the universe having a plan and different kind of metrics you have to hit, and you just have to go along with it. And I said to myself, there's a couple more metrics I need to hit, but I needed to learn these lessons, and I needed to learn that lesson up to that point. And I had started a company within the year before that called Pilot Path. And I started it based off the back of my training. I started it based off all the financial issues I had, the operational issues I had. I had found so many difficult things along the way. And I remember driving home from a flight lesson one day. And at this time I was doing that force job in Ryanair. And I said to myself, what is wrong with you, Craig? Why can't you get this? Like, you're not silly. Like, you're intelligent enough to do these roles. You're intelligent enough to do this. Why can't you grasp this? Like, there's people around you doing that. And I realised it wasn't necessarily me, that was the system. And I fell off the horse at the time. But out of the back of that, I was inspired to start Pilot Path, which uniquely plans and charts the career course of part-time pilot students as they progress towards their ultimate goal of becoming a first officer in an airline. However, it doesn't make them have to change their entire life around that. They keep their job, they keep their family, they keep their house. However, they commit and invest time.
So they don't lose essentially what you lost trying to get into the world.
And I lost a lot of money, and I lost a lot. And I said to myself, there has to be a way out of this. So I had started that company, and this was during COVID. And we took our first student actually in March 21. And when it got to, I suppose I was always balancing. Over them 9 months, I was balancing, what will I do here? It was such a good career trajectory here in Ryanair. I have so much going on. I love it. And then I have this other project that I'm working on, something that I'm passionate about, something that, you know, it's my idea. I'm the first one to ever come up with it. I was blessed with a unique opportunity to really do something with it.
Yeah.
And when I got to that point in December, with that pause, I was able to see clearly for the first time in years. And I could see, right, Craig, what do you want from life? You know, do you want to be in
Was
this
it
position?
a situation there when you're taking your mental health walks?
There were mental health spirals in hindsight. That's what I'm calling them
Let's
now.
talk about the mental health spirals. Okay.
Yes.
Was it a situation where you found yourself asking, who am I?
Yeah.
And the whole defining factor was, I am a regional manager at Ryanair.
Yes. That's what it was.
Is that what the spiral was around?
It wasn't necessarily because I still loved my job at this point.
Yeah.
I still, I left the day I left, I still loved it.
Yeah.
It was more so, what do I want? What does happiness look like for me?
And what does it look like?
Happiness looks for me is that I'm able to fulfill my ambition. I'm in a position where professionally I'm able to fulfill that side. But that I have the friendships in my life I want, that I have the relationship in my life that I want, that I'm close to my family, that I have time for me and that I look after me, you know, that like physical and mental health go so twined and hand in hand with each other that, you know, I'm actively working towards them and that I can see clearly. And that is what like happiness looks like to me.
Yeah.
I'd realised that, you know, I was still quite young. I was, you know, still growing emotionally and stuff like this, and I was like, how did I make such balls of this? How did I get to this point?
When you said you made a balls of it, which part?
I suppose
what was
everything in my life except for work. Yeah, except for work. That I kind of, because I had realised quite quickly that, like, you know, where is everybody? I'm on my own here.
Who is everybody? Your parents?
Yeah, it was. I suppose I have siblings. I'm really close to my siblings. I have friends. I had my family. I had no partner and stuff at the time. But I was like, I also didn't know who I was. Do you know what I mean? And I think that was the main thing behind it. I didn't know who I fundamentally was anymore. I had one personality trait, and I was like, that's not who I am. You didn't like it? No, I didn't like it. When I looked at myself in the mirror, and to be honest, Paige, it's not easy to look at yourself in the mirror. But when I did, I said to myself, that's not who you are, Craig. You're worth more than this, and you're better than this. And it wasn't Ryanair's fault. It wasn't Tesco's fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was my fault. And it was my understanding of the world was different to what it is today.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I'm going to do something about that. And I made a plan. And I listed it all out again. And I said, I'm going to set up metrics here for the next couple of years of my life. And I'm going to get where I wanted to be. And what I wanted to be is to satisfy the ambition, satisfy the overall, with the thirst for growth. But at the same time, to balance personal life and balance my other half of my life with it. To put it frankly, I wanted my cake and I wanted to eat it too. That is exactly what I wanted. But I've never stood for anything but the best, and I feel like that's the best for me. And I'm going to keep working for that every day of my life to get it, and it will change over time. I also realised, I think there's a degree of the whole big 30 question going in that I was like,
I wonder what you'll do when you turn 30. Craig.
Well, do you want to know the actual plans?
Oh, there are plans. Oh, Lord.
I'm going to turn 30 next July.
Next July.
And I said to myself,
oh, God, call me.
I'm just putting on the record now, nobody contact me over the month of July until at least the 23rd.
Oh, Jesus, are you internally reflecting?
Well,
not again.
Yes.
Not again.
I'm actually not due to internally reflect until 2024.
Okay, good.
So, oh my God, that's next year. That's next Christmas.
Shit.
But I said to myself, I want to have a big tour. I want to have a 30th extravaganza. I want to go all over it. People that know me will say, well, they absolutely won't say that I don't like being in the limelight because I'm a fiend sometimes. Like, mess, it's all tongue in cheek. Like, but I said to myself, I'm gonna have a big party there, and I'm gonna try. And like, I'm not even thinking of like how to fill around. I'm not thinking of how to get people there. I'm not. Like, I have it planned out to a T, but I don't want to seem like a sad act already because
I'm envisioning a 30th on a Boeing.
It's actually on the side of a mountain with a drone show over the far bank of the lake. But look, close. But I don't know where I'll be next year. I've done what I always do, Paige, and I planned out the next couple of years of where I want to do and what I want to do, and I put metrics in place for myself, and I'm my worst critic. I always think, I suppose that the mad thing about it is the imposter syndrome I spoke about earlier on at Ryanair. The day I walked into Pilotpath, it was around the 1st of June last year, so 2022. I had left Ryanair the previous Friday. It was wild. Like, it was just, I couldn't believe the reception I got, the goodbyes,
and I hate
plenty
that.
of tears. I was part of my life, and I felt like I was part of the fabric of the building at the time, and it was tough,
It's like leaving family.
It was. That's exactly what it was like, and I learned an awful lot, and I took a lot away from it. And I said, as I started on the Monday, I hadn't prepared anything. It'd been such a whirlwind and so much going on. Like, it was controlled chaos up to that point because we were in our summer period. We were busy, and I stepped foot in. Believe it or not, I didn't even know where I was going on the first day in Pilotpath. Yeah. A guy that was working on Pilotpath in the background while he was working another job as well, Christopher, he had actually, he was looking after finding a space, and finding me somewhere to go and stuff like that. And when we got there, I couldn't make a decision. I wasn't in it. My head wasn't in it. It was all over the place. And we actually went to WeWork on the first day. I paid €100 for 2 passes. Chris came with me that day. €100 for 2 passes. It was ridiculous. The only successful thing I'd done that whole day was renew my car insurance. I had no...
You shouldn't have paid the 100. You just get one person's pass. You needed a me day.
My head was all over the place. That's what I did need a me day though. And I've learned very much in them 10 months about that me day side of things, and I suppose these were big things, that lessons I had to learn over them 10, 11 months at this stage. And I sat there and I was like, what am I doing here? How am I after ending up changing my career again? What was I at 27? How am I after changing my career again? How am I CEO and founder of my own company here? And I had no idea in terms of like what it was to be a founder, how the startup ecosystem works in Ireland, what it is to found a company and to work with other entrepreneurs, the network side of things, the financial side of things, everything. It was all new to me. We've been running this company in the background for the last year and a half. We'd had a year and a half of good, solid, sustained success. You know, within my team, I had Christopher there as our ops manager. I had a guy, Anthony, who's still with us today. Chris and Anthony are both proprietary directors as well within Pilot Path. Anthony is a director with his own accountancy firm and stuff like that. So, like, I had plenty of expertise, plenty of support. I built a really solid team already. And when I went in to lead this team, I said to myself, oh, good God, what am I doing here? And how did this happen? And I had a lot of what I call Stockholm syndrome after leaving the previous job. I was like...
Because I was just about to ask, at this stage, are you shitting yourself?
Yes.
Are you going, absolutely. What the hell have
myself.
I done?
Oh my God, I wanted to lock me. Do you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to run away and work on a beach for the summer in Turkey. That's what I wanted to do.
You know, I get that feeling sometimes where you think to yourself, Jesus, but I just love to lay bricks right now. I don't want to think. I just want to use my hands, do something physical and let it be done. Then I can see it built at the end of the day.
There was a break in it that week though. There was, because that's exactly the feeling. Like.
Yeah, you just want to stop thinking.
I think I spent so much time in my car. But I sat down by the Friday. I actually drove up to my brother. My brother worked not far from the house at the time. And I went and spoke to Josh. And I said, Josh, I was like, I've gone from having thousands of people relying on me. You know, we had over 10,500 crew at the time. We had all of these managers. We had all this. And I'd left this position at the helm of all of this. And I said, who relies on me today, Josh? I was like, my phone has gone from hopping 24/7 to nothing this week. I was like, it's such a shock. I was like, I don't know who I am anymore.
Almost bored.
Boredom was overcome by feeling very sorry for myself, I can tell you that. And not understanding where I was or what was that. I was shocked. And Josh turned around and he said to me, he's a very lateral thinker. And he turned around and he said, Craig, he said, you do have someone to rely on. And I said, who, Josh? Who? I was annoyed even at this stage. And he said, yourself. Yeah. And I looked back and I said, I haven't gone to doctors in like 5 years. Over the next couple of months, I suppose, even up till now at this point, like that was June last year. Here we are in April 2023.
Yeah.
That's
almost
quick.
Time to reflect.
Oh my God, like 11 months later, oh my God. Well, 11 months later and here we are and like...
Where are we? Where is Pilot Path?
As of today, I'm very, very proud to say that we are in the round of our pre-Series A funding. We've secured investment with a well-known investment company here in Ireland. We have our term sheet and our letter of engagement on that we're negotiating at the moment. We've worked on that. Like I was obviously totally new to the ecosystem, and we put a lot of work into getting to this point now, and we've secured around $500,000 in our first round. The purpose of which is to invest within our expansion and our offering for our students into Europe over the next 18 months and to help develop our technological side of the business. And we've 3 full-time employees, including myself. We've another Craig, so nice and handy.
Craig and Craig,
and we have Christopher as well as on board full-time with us now too. We have our contractors in the UK led by our commercial pilot mentor. They're all commercial pilots and they operate on a self-employed basis as technical advisors to ourselves and our students. And the aim of the game here is to employ another 4 people over the next 3 to 4 months with funding. Incredible. And to expand our offering and expand outside Ireland and the UK. Luckily enough, we only moved into the UK after, oh my God, the most laborious couple of months of my life. We moved into the UK 3 weeks ago on Friday, and we opened our first base outside Ireland that looks after our primary commercial training in Ravenair in Liverpool. So we have Newcastle here as our main hub in Ireland, and we have Ravenair now in Liverpool, and our next base is due to open next Saturday in Birmingham with Aviator Academy. So we're moving in the right directions. The funding will really, really help. It's been a slog for the last 10 months to get it, and the aim of the game is to deliver 2,500 pilots per year into European airlines by 2027 across 11 geographical locations in Europe with over 30 primary skills and around 30 secondary skills that will provide the more complex commercial training. We are at around our 100 student mark. We've the largest collection of part-time modular students here in Ireland, which I'm really, really proud to say. And the model is working so far.
We chatted now. You mentioned the imposter syndrome. You felt it, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Do you ever go and get help for that kind of thing? Do you talk to people about it? I don't think you're the only CEO founder that struggles with these high level, it needs to be A, B, C, D way when you're left in the quiet.
Yeah. To be honest
it's hard.
To be honest with you, it's tough. It's really, really tough. I built up a better ecosystem around me, and a better support network around me over the last couple of months. I've actively, I said to myself, like, you asked earlier on, what does happiness look like, Craig? And I really had to draw deep. I had to peel back all the layers of the onion of Craig, of who he is, to say, what are you going to do and how are you going to change it? And what I learned is that, you know, talking and sharing is probably the biggest thing I could have done over the last couple of months. Finding mentors and finding people that can listen to me and that can help me and advise me, and building that network has been it's been next to impossible. It would have been next to impossible to even be here right now without doing that. Yeah. You know, going and just actively being honest about it and actively talking about, well, this is where we are now. This is how I'm feeling. You know, this is not easy. You know, imposter syndrome is not an easy one to work through. And to cure it, what I had to do, and don't get me wrong, it's not cured. I don't think it'll ever be fully cured. No. Not at the pace and trajectory.
I think we also have a certain amount, all of us.
I think so.
Of that, I mean, you can't see me wake up and look in the mirror and be like, I don't even strive for happy. I strive for content.
Okay, maybe we should lower my expectations a bit.
I'm going for regularly content, occasionally sad, preferably a lot of the time happy.
Yes. And you know, I actually, like, this is what it's funny that you say it, because like I've become more open about mental health and about how I feel. I was a month out right now, and I done a post on LinkedIn, and I got such a reception on it in terms of I was very honest with it, and I was very honest that I'd struggled the last month and it was tough, and I said earlier on, Paige, that everything that's happened to me in my life to date, I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change where I'm from. Yeah. I wouldn't change being from a disadvantaged area, or like having struggles in school, or having this, I wouldn't change a thing. And I'll tell you why, because everything that's happened to me up to this point has taught me a lesson. And the lessons and the time I'm going through now with building Pilot Path and expanding it and realising its full potential, it's also teaching me an awful lot of personal lessons. It's humbling me. It's teaching me the value of money. You know, it's teaching me stuff that I thought I knew again. I'm constantly surprised that what I thought I knew isn't the reality. The reality is, when you don't have €20 is a lot of bleeding money. And I grew up knowing that, and I understood that, but I forgot.
So what's the big lesson? You've now founded a company. It's been a roller coaster. It's been huge. It's been emotionally a lot. Christmas will never be the same again.
Never.
All of that jazz.
Yeah.
What's the draw?
I'm gonna say something that I'm living by at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's that you need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture a lot of the time. When I had an awful habit of getting in on my own head and looking within a month or a week of what had happened. And I always try and paint the picture. I had read it, but I had seen this graph before on LinkedIn, and it was essentially a graph where they had zoomed in, and it's a chart, and you see a big red line going downwards. And this guy, it's obviously his professional life. This is what it's representing. However, on the next slide, then someone's standing next to him, and they've zoomed out of this graph. And instead of just saying August, you can see January to December. And what you actually see is the entire time he's grown.
And now he's had a dip.
And exactly. And now he's in a position where, okay, he's had a slump in a month, but we need to keep the faith. We need to rewind back and say, what is the bigger picture here? Again, the big lesson is that, Craig, you don't know everything. Be humble. You know, take it day by day, take baby steps, but don't give up. Keep the faith, keep moving forward. You know, I put this much into myself now. I can do anything that I set my ambitions to here, and I just need to keep going that way. And I'm bringing the company and bringing the people around me with me. And that's fantastic. The big stuff that I've learned now over the last couple of months.
Craig, where do people find you? Where do they find Pilot Path? If they want to get in touch.
Okay. So if they want
Put us a plug there.
If they want to contact me, my name is Craig Lancaster on LinkedIn. You can get me there anytime directly. To contact us on Pilot Path, we're on Instagram, Facebook. Our plug for WhatsApp and stuff are on them. Or you can reach us anytime at info@pilotpath.ie.
Thank you so much, Craig, for joining us.
No problem.
It's been such a pleasure. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Found It, a production of Factory 44, Ireland's on-demand creative studio based in the heart of Dublin. Found It is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you stream your podcasts. If you like the show, please take a second to subscribe for more episodes and join the conversation on our socials at Factory 44 Studio. If you're looking to record a podcast or are interested in becoming a member of Factory 44, book a call on our website at www.factory44.io.